Howdy everyone, Runt9 here, and welcome back to Runt9 Plays Battletech. I'm picking up where we left off a day later. So today I've set aside a good bit of time. We're going to try to record at least a few episodes in advance, try to get some sort of continuity going on so that I'm not going into every episode completely blind. So first Battletech mission of the day, let's just kind of get our legs underneath us. I believe we just landed in this new system. And we've got a couple of half skull things. Should be pretty easy just to clear our way out. Because the thing with the half skull missions as well is like, you want to do them first and kind of save your most difficult missions for last. So that when you do inevitably travel away, you can spend that time repairing from the difficult battles. So one man's art is like a super easy one. We can probably max out the salvage on this one because 79k versus 7200 is not really a big difference, but I mean it's not going to be good either way, so we'll just take what we got. Looks like we did have an injury last time, so we're dealing with kind of a less than ideal loadout for our mech warriors, but I think this will be okay. So if I remember correctly, essentially the way that we had got things set up is we wanted to use our Centurion as not necessarily a frontline unit, but get into that mid-range a little bit more. Our Blackjack is definitely a sniper, and the other two can kind of bounce around a little bit. Now, granted, the Vulcan definitely does play best when it gets up close and personal, but it is also definitely good for dancing around. The Vulcan is also definitely our scout. And we might have even wanted to put sensor lock on it. I don't know that we have a pilot with sensor lock yet. I don't know. I got 3 different playthroughs going on, so we'll we'll get back into it. So checking this map out, you're probably going to want to just roll up this hill, hit that target zone, hit that target zone. That should be fine, because we don't want to lose the elevation battle. So just start running around this side. I think that'll probably be a better way to get in there. We're going to try to speed run, not necessarily speed run, but, you know, breeze through these half skull missions. Because it's definitely going to get to the point where they're not necessarily that exciting to watch. You know, it's already a confirmed thing that we're not only going to beat it, but we're going to take, you know, no damage whatsoever. So we'll speed it up a little bit, get into the more interesting missions, and hopefully get into some more interesting mechs soon as well. Because I would be excited about picking up our first heavy. We've got we can roll a full medium lance at this point, which it does make a big difference. The only problem is I may not be able to get as much recording done as I want to, because it is still a little bit late, and I am kind of tired and sleepy. Tell by the yawning that maybe not at the top of my game, so we'll kind of see where we are after this one. Alright, a Jenner. I don't really have much for you, but have a medium laser to the face. Because why not? You know? Chipping away at armor is chipping away at armor, no matter how you slice it. So we do have a few vehicles to deal with. Looks like that was an LRM-5, so not even anything to care about. Jenners can put out a little bit of damage. You know, we don't exactly want to ignore it. But I also am like, just move in here. Even if our Vulcan takes the brunt of some damage here, I really don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. This is where you turn everything back on and just go to town. Are the vehicles going to move up and do a couple things? Yeah, but I mean, it's half skull. It's not going to be very difficult at all. And we will be able to get our other mechs in here as well. In fact, I think this will just straight up give us a UAC 5 shot. We'll turn the snub PPC off, and I mean, this should do some pretty decent damage if it hits. 2 hits of 27, okay? I mean, it's not a lot, but against a Jenner, you don't really have to worry too terribly much about it.
Stop. Reporting.
Alright, so can our Blackjack get in a good spot? Kinda. Those are not the best shots in the world. Okay, those are 70%ers. I'll take 70%ers.
Target confirmed.
So one thing I have come to realize, you know, I've been going back and forth on large lasers a little bit. I know that they are generally disliked, and that's fair. There are reasons for that. I've been saying recently that I don't think they're that bad. You know, they have a pretty solid damage per heat. But the problem that I realized is you kind of have to compare everything to a baseline of medium lasers. A medium laser does 25 damage in 1 ton. A large laser does 40 damage in 5 tons. From a heat-sinking perspective, a medium laser does... Sorry, 2 medium lasers is 6 more heat than... Oh, we weren't in range for a shot. Oops. It does 6 more heat than a large laser. Well, 2 medium lasers plus 2 heat sinks is 4 tons, as opposed to the 5 tons of the large laser, and it does 10 more damage. So really, literally the only thing that the large laser has on medium lasers is range. So knowing that, I actually think that I'm back, you know, the pendulum has swung back the other direction, that I'm realizing, okay, large lasers are legitimately one of the worst weapons in the game. Why would you ever use them? I don't know that that's necessarily the case. You know, we have this blackjack where it's already using AC2s, which also aren't actually that great. AC2s do have incredible range, but AC5s still have incredible range, just not as incredible. But AC5s do a lot more damage. And also don't have as big of a minimum range penalty as well. So if you do end up getting in a little bit closer than you bargained for, it's easy to just kind of step back and pop them with an AC5. Vulcan, definitely just go stomping.
Got it, Commander.
Because even if you don't kill it, we got a bunch of weapons to add on top. We should probably turn the flamer off for stepping on vehicles, though.
More for the trash heap.
Just because, like, flamers aren't going to do anything against vehicles, and so there are going to be other mechs that we probably want to save the flamer for. And so the other thing is, like, with flamers, I don't know that I really want to use only one flamer. It seems like that's just not that great, honestly. It seems like it would be better in general to either use more flamers or no flamers. Just one isn't enough heat to make a difference, and you're kind of wasting a slot. You know, if we had another machine gun for more structural crit damage, or if we had another small laser for 20 more damage each time we go in on a full blast of Alpha Strike, just seems like that would be better in general. So UAC5, we do kind of have to worry about the minimum range. But if you see, like, right here, that plus the snub PPC should just annihilate this thing. Absolutely it did. So I do like what our Centurion has going on. The UAC5 plus the snub PPC gives it some range flexibility while also just doing quite a lot of damage. Right, I think jumping in here, just so we could get eyes on what else we got going on. So we'll take the slightly higher percentage shots on the Jenner, and honestly, from a precision perspective, if we're looking at 50, if we're looking at 90 total damage, we need to do, is that 80 to the CT? So I think it may be worth it to go ahead and precision shot the CT on this one, because if we can get everything in there, which we didn't, then we would have been able to get a one shot out of it. If we move back down this way, we're just barely in range. So I will, you know what, we're going to have to cold shot the torso on this one. So I also learned a couple interesting things. You know, I was eating dinner earlier, and I was reading some tips and tricks for Battletech, and like I had noticed that sometimes we do get more than one piece of salvage off of a mech, but I didn't know the actual underlying mechanics behind it. And now that I've learned it, I have come to understand how important it is for salvaging mechs to not just always destroy the center torso. Now, for these crappy light mechs that we couldn't care less about, it doesn't matter. But if you kill the center torso, you will only get one piece of mech salvage. If you destroy both legs to incapacitate the pilot, you get 2 pieces of mech salvage.
How might I help?
If you incapacitate the pilot any other way, you get 3 instances of mech salvage.
Consider it done.
So, literally the best thing you can do, like if we wanted to get 3 spider parts here, I would precision strike the head. But the problem with that, of course, is 2% chance to get a headshot. But knockdowns deal pilot injuries. So that makes stability damage that much better to me than what I've thought about in the past. In addition, if you can remove each side torso and a leg, you can hit the pilot 3 times from the torso in the knockdown, and that's usually enough. Most pilots do not have enough injury points to survive 3 injuries. And if we do that, even if we aren't able to knock out the head, because headshots are, you know, for lack of a better phrase, a bit of a crapshoot, then what we can focus on is trying to, on mechs that we care about, take out a leg and both torsos and get knockdowns, maybe even focus on stability damage builds, and use that as a way to get better mechs. Because we go into a mission with 3 salvage at our disposal, and we take out a heavy mech that particular way, we could just have the mech. And it also, like, makes total and complete sense from, like, a realism perspective is probably an odd way to put it. But just from a, hey, this actually makes a ton of sense perspective. I don't want to get in a little bit closer, but very spicy. We'll give it a try, though. You know, it makes sense that if you blow up the middle of the mech, you're probably not going to be able to reuse very many parts. Whereas if you just knock a couple pieces off, or better yet, you get a headshot and kill the pilot,
Let's hit him where it hurts.
then yeah, it makes sense. You would be able to salvage more of the mech. But that's something we're going to focus on a little bit more as time goes by, is when we get into harder battles, especially 1.5 skull and on.
Reporting.
And there are also like certain types of battles where you are more likely to see certain types of mechs. Then honestly, I think we just, I kind of want to sensor lock it, but I'm also just like, just fire the LRMs at it. I don't care about the low percentage chance. Just remove an evasion pip. We can focus down one mech that we identify as like, hey, this is a mech that we would like to have. Let's get the salvage out of it. So it's already taken some front CT damage, so we might as well just kind of focus on that. But also, like, our Vulcan can get up in here and do a melee, which also seems beneficial. But yeah, like, these crappy light mechs early on, my ideal scenario, once we get past the first little bit, and we're basically already there, is to never use a light mech again.
What's the plan?
It's not that I don't like light mechs, it's that I prefer the flexibility of medium mechs, as most people do. So realistically, where I would like to get to is the point where the Vulcan is our one and only scout. I hate the 50% chance on this one, but +3 for refire, plus the enemy has the spore benefit, and we're firing into a spore field and obstructed. But because of the 4 height difference, it's still a decent shot. I'm going to go ahead and take a called shot on this one to the CT.
He's going down.
And we did do 54 damage, but I don't think we got into the CT. No, not at all. Okay. Good talk.
Awaiting orders.
So maybe our Blackjack can come in here and do something useful. That's right. It has kind of bad jump jets. We put jump jets on it just for positioning, not necessarily for mobility.
Unleashing hell.
Okay, so we destroyed a leg, got a knockdown, but that still doesn't kill it, unfortunately. But yeah, so you can see by knocking a unit down, the pilot gets injured. And for us, like, stability damage actually isn't that hard to come by. In my solo playthrough, I've gotten to the point where with some of the LB autocannons and, you know, 15, 20, or LRMs 15 to 20, stuff like that, you can actually do just an absolute ton of stability damage, and in a full lance focus on a single unit, you can easily knock down the unit.
Target acquired.
Not necessarily going to do much. Okay, there we go. We got the CT destroyed.
Hostile eliminated. What's the plan?
Now we can go into the capture zone and get moving.
Yes, Commander.
Yeah, that's something that I'm like, it makes total sense, and I can't believe I didn't realize it before, because, like, I have always wondered if it was random or whatever the case may be. I never tried to identify a pattern or when we were able to get the full 3 salvage out of a mech. Now that I know the pattern, it's like I'm going to try to force that to happen as much as possible. So we're going to go to the other target zone rather than going straight to the evac, because again, we've got 4 mediums on a half skull. Like, we're not even remotely close to in danger here, even if we have already taken a little bit of damage. I believe that there won't even be any enemy reinforcements at this point. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that literally what we have is,
Have no doubt.
or what we already faced is it.
Yes.
You know, half skull missions are meant to be super easy. You're supposed to be able to take them out with, you know, a squad of lights, basically.
Of course.
And, you know, I want to make it clear, like, I'm not saying light mechs are bad. I'm saying that I prefer medium mechs. And I'm fine having a scout, but I'd rather have something like a Vulcan or an assassin, maybe even a Chikata, versus having, you know, a light mech with less armor, more susceptible to getting blown up and wasting our money. So here I'm like, yeah, obviously taking mech salvage is good and all, but I don't want to just take the AC-5 and the SRM-6, because those are going to be more useful for us than, you know, the 100 or 200 grand we might get from selling light mech. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do think that a large source of income can be salvaging mechs and selling them, and we should try to do that if it's easy enough. But for some of these lower difficulty ones, I'm like, let's not waste our time. I don't want to waste the viewers' time. I want to get in here and do some good work for you guys and, you know, show some entertaining battles. So, again, one of the things that I am going to want to do is on our blackjack, for example, get in here and sure, 2 AC2s is kind of neat. 25 damage a pop and just all of the range. But just look at, I mean, 16.69 tons is so much room. You can come in here with an AC-5, with a box of equipment, or a box of ammo, 15 rounds. So you got 15 shots, and then you got 7 tons left. Okay, well, what if we did medium laser, and 2 heat sinks? Okay, well, we're still heat neutral. In fact, we're more than heat neutral. We could even do something along the lines of this, and we still, at max armor, with AC-5, 4 medium lasers, and 2 heat sinks, have basically 2 tons remaining. What's our alpha? 20 heat negative, so it's basically 3 turns of firing everything. That's all 4 medium lasers as well, which... The other thing about medium lasers versus large lasers is it's really, really easy to cover your heat problems by just being like, okay, turn off 2 lasers and let's sink a little bit of heat this turn. So this is something where we could be like, all right, now let's add some flexibility from a mobility perspective. You throw some jump jets on there, you max out armor, it's going to take a little bit off the legs. Boom, you got a stew cooking. Our heat efficiency, yeah, it's a 8 heat to jump, 20 down on our alpha versus heat sinking. But look at our firepower now. As opposed to 2 AC2s, we now do 145 max damage, which the 2 AC2s plus the large laser was 40 plus 50 was 90. So this setup with an AC5 and 4 medium lasers is 55 more alpha damage. Do we lose some range? Yeah, absolutely. But an AC5 at an optimal 360, and medium laser optimal 180. So essentially, if we're in 90 of the minimum of AC5, if we're 90 to 270, we're in striking distance for a huge alpha strike. This also lets us put 2 more jump jets on it. I'm pretty sure that this is more armor than we have on it right now. So I definitely have done another 180 on large lasers. So expect us to mess with the blackjack in a future episode. As well as LRM5s are just flat bad. I mean, look at this firepower number. 70 max damage. This Vindicator can only put out a maximum of 70 damage. And what is this heat efficiency? We're sinking 45 heat. Why? It's crazy just how much I play this game on my own time and how much I can go back to older saves and be like, man, we could optimize this so much better. This thing can handle 5 energy slots. So let's do some math here. And you know, if you guys don't want to look at mech customization or do some math and kind of learn more about the game, that's fine. Go ahead and end the episode here. Click the like button if you enjoyed everything. I really appreciate the support, and I totally understand if this part is boring and you just want to see battles. But like, I need to think through this in my own mind to learn more about the right way to build these mechs up. So I do really appreciate the support, and if you tune out now, totally cool. I'll see you in the next one, but we're probably going to do this for the last, 10 minutes of the episode. Okay, so math. CPC does 50 damage on 35 heat. So how many medium lasers to equal 35 heat? Well, it's 12 per laser. So you figure 3 lasers is 36. Okay, 3 medium lasers to hit the same amount of heat is 75 damage. Okay, shorter range. Sure, absolutely. Less stability damage. Actually, literally 0 stability damage. And we actually just talked about why stability damage can be useful. But 3 medium lasers is 3 tons, as opposed to a PPC that is 7 tons. You know what you can do with those other 4 tons? Or heat sinks, or more armor, or in the case of a Vindicator, here's what you do. You go in here, you max armor, you got again 16.69 tons. You throw a dang old SRM6 in there, give it a big old ammo box. Go in here with medium laser, medium laser, medium laser, medium laser, medium laser. Okay, so what's our heat efficiency look like? Ooh, yeah, no, 42 per volley is really, really bad. Okay, sure, fair. And let's make things even worse. Let's go 4 jump jets on here as well. So remember, we were doing, what was it, 75 damage before? So PPC is 50, LRM5 is 4 times 5 is 20. We had 70 max firepower before. And our heat efficiency was neutral. Okay, sure, that's fair. So we're at max armor, max jump jets, max weapon slots filled up except support slots. And we have room for 5 heat sinks. Okay, let's start adding heat sinks back in. Just for the sake of argument. And you know what? Let's add 1 more back in just for good measure. Or sorry, add 1 more in for good measure. And so we'll drop, a little bit of leg armor here? Yeah, so pretty much about the same as where a blackjack was. Heat efficiency. 72 on 48. So that's going to be, 24 heat. So with 60 being the overheat threshold, then you get 2 full volleys of your SRMs and your 5 lasers, which again, 5 lasers is 125 damage. Our full volley of just lasers is more than an AC-20. And an AC-20 requires 14 tons, I believe. Now, granted, an AC-20 kills basically wherever it hits. If it hits an arm, the arm is getting blown off. If it hits a light in the CT, the light is dead. Whereas the 5 medium lasers are likely to hit different parts of the mech. And that's totally fine. But we also can very easily control our heat. It's like, okay, we are at 24. If we need to be heat neutral for a turn, we turn off 2 medium lasers. Okay, so let's figure our average heat neutral turn, once we start dealing with some heat issues, is 3 medium lasers and an SRM-6 volley. An SRM-6 volley is 48 damage if every missile hits the same spot, which it doesn't. And, you know, from a calculation perspective, you should usually figure SRM-6s are 75% effective, since that's the base chance to hit. It rolls for each rocket, missile. So you should assume that 75% of 48, so divide 48 by 4, that's 12 apiece. So knock 12 damage off. So an SRM-6 is approximately 36 damage. Plus 3 medium lasers is 75. So you add that together, 36 plus 75, you end up at 111. So at heat neutrality, getting rid of the PPC and LRM-5, at heat neutrality, we are at 41 more damage than the previous build. And our full Alpha Strike is a whopping 173 damage. The first time we jump into battle, we hit for 173 damage if every weapon hits. Does our range go down? Yeah, but tell me what this combat roll says. Fire support and brawler. So it's expected to deal their damage at range and move in for closer attacks. But honestly, with medium lasers and SRM-6s having the same range of 180, 180 is still a decent distance. And if you need to get into 270, you can. So this looks like a much, much better Vindicator build than a PPC and LRM-5s. That's probably something that we're going to do. Jenner, don't care. It's a light. You can't really do much. I mean, SRM-6, SRM-2, strip equip, max armor. You got 4.38 tons to work with max armor. Like, there's just not enough room to care. Our Centurion, I do think snub PPC and UAC-5 can be a pretty powerful combination, but the thing with Centurions is, like, you got 18 tons to play with, or 18 and a half tons to play with, and you can do a lot with that. But I think we're in an okay spot. You know, the only problem is we're 21 heat deficit, so we can only fire 2 volleys before having to turn off the snub. Snub PPC does do a good chunk of stability damage. It does have the EM effect. And, you know, 15 by 5, it is going to split up the damage a good bit amongst different parts of enemy mechs. Or you could spend that 6 tons on, how many laser slots do we have? 2 lasers. So 15 by 5 is 75 damage. So we would need 3 medium lasers to equal it. We can't. But let's say we replace the snub PPC with 2 SRM-6s. Since we have 3 missile slots here. So you take that off, okay, your heat efficiency goes up and your firepower goes down. Sure. We only have 1 SRM-6, unfortunately, so, you know, for the sake of argument. And so 1 SRM ammo is 100 rounds. So if you had 2 SRM-6s, I usually roll 1 SRM ammo box per SRM-6. I figure that's pretty fair. And with the AC-5 versus UAC-5, it only drops 1 ton, so it's really not that big of a difference. But even this right here, so the snub PPC is 15 by 5, that's 75. This is realistically 36, the game is going to factor it as 48. But from a heat efficiency perspective, we're so much better. We're heat neutral right now. I mean, not with the jump jets included, but then you throw on another SRM-6 and drop armor, or, you know, you mess with the autocannon a little bit. We've got some flexibility here. And we could even drop the autocannon and make it a bit of an SRM bot. The Vulcan, though, is like the biggest problem at the moment. Well, okay, maybe not the biggest problem, but medium laser, 1 medium laser, 2 machine guns, small laser, and flamer. Like, the damage split is just, it's just bad. Like, I think if we were going to roll with flamers, I would want to put 4 flamers in these slots and 2 turns, and it doesn't matter what the mech is, it's neutralized and it can't fire its weapons. It will be taken a turn off. But what I kind of prefer to do with Vulcans is if we can get a coil, great, put it on there. If not, roll 4 small lasers. They're half a ton each, they do 20 damage and 6 heat. So 4 small lasers is an equivalent heat value to 2 medium lasers at 80 damage versus 50 damage. And with the Vulcan's DQC suite, a small laser at 20 damage, 6 heat, has the same optimal range as a medium laser. So essentially, small lasers are slightly weaker, and I do mean slightly weaker, medium lasers on a Vulcan. Why would you not just do a bunch of small lasers? And you know the best part about the Vulcan's small laser loadout type thing is small lasers are support weapons, so they don't have accuracy penalties for evasion. They ignore evasion, which means that if you need to go in hard on a light, you focus fire the CT, and if you've got a medium laser and 4 small lasers, that's 105 damage, and it just nukes them, and they're just dead. So this is definitely somewhere else that we need to focus. You know, we would want to pick up more small lasers from the shop, but I think that that's something that I want to do with the Vulcan. Since we don't have a coil in hand right now, then my preference would be to go that route. But also, with 7.94 tons, you could also potentially even put an AC5 in here and just use the Vulcan as a runaround AC5. I mean, I think it's a bad idea, but you could if you wanted to. You could also roll an AC2 and a couple things, but I think the best way to use a Vulcan is jump jets to the max and all the small lasers. Not all the small things, all the small lasers. And so just because we know this is something that we're going to do, let's go ahead and buy the small lasers here if they have them. They only have flamers. Which, I mean, granted, I'm not against doing a flamer build, but I think that Vulcan, especially considering the role that it's going to need to fill for this particular lance that we're building, 2 more small lasers versus, you know, MG and MG ammo. MG ammo is a ton just to feed these half-ton machine guns that, granted, do have an incredible amount of crit chance, and it may not be a bad idea to keep 1 MG around. But most of the time, I want to just use a Vulcan as a finisher, where it's a flanker, where we're going to run around and hit rear armor, and I just want it to get rid of things. So we've got a lot of modifications to make, and I know that you know, we basically spent the last 13 minutes just kind of sitting here talking about things, but I'm very opinionated about this, and the more I play, the more opinionated I get. So we're going to want to make some modifications and figure it out, but that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to try to record 1 more at least, and then try to get in a bunch of recording tomorrow night so that I can kind of, like I said, get that continuity. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, the single best thing you can do to support me and support this channel is by clicking the like button. That sends a message to the YouTube algorithm that tells it, hey, other people might like videos like this as well. And you should make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see videos like this in the future. And check out the link tree in the description below. It has links to Twitch, Twitter, and Discord, so you can come hang out with the community, see the streams 5 days a week on twitch.tv/Runt9plays, and you know, we'd love to have you. But until the next episode, I'm Runt9. I'll see you later.